It's time for this week. Baseball Talk Radio Show presents the Baseball Talk Radio Show with Rich and Gary, all about baseball.
Oh, Rich, I don't know what happened there. I hit the wrong button, but what the heck? We always have technical problems. We can always edit that in later.
Yes, we do. How you doing, Gary? And welcome to Labor Day weekend 2016. Can you believe it's already here?
It might be a long Labor Day weekend, if you know what I mean, the way this evening got off to a start.
Yeah, we always have the Gremlins come visit us. That's always our trademark for the show, but it's great to see you here on Labor Day weekend. And, well, yesterday was the expansion of the roster, so we finally got some help on some of the teams that needed help.
Yeah, and I got a jackhammer going somewhere. I don't know if you guys can hear that.
Yeah, I sort of hear something, but it's not too loud.
It's pretty good here.
They're getting ready for the storm. They're digging holes so that the hurricane can fill in the holes.
I'm looking around here. I don't know what the heck is going on. It could be me again. Could be Gremlins.
I don't know, but well, in the baseball world, we're talking about here. As we said, the expansion of the rosters, teams went up to 40 players, and it's going to be a good time for a lot of these teams that have been in need of some serious help in the last couple of weeks.
It certainly is, Rich, and the Mets certainly could use some help as another pitcher went down today. Jacob deGrom got announced that he's going to miss a start or two, and Steven Matz is out, Harvey's out, so that great pitching staff that we were supposed to start the season with is going down the toilet right now. But somehow they're hanging in the race. But injuries happen all over the place. Miami lost Stanton. They may or may not get him back. He's a big key to them, and they just dropped 3 out of 4. So they can use the bodies. The Mets can probably use the bodies. Everybody can use some help now. The crazy thing about that is, though, if you get somebody hot and bring them in, and they help you get to the pennant, or to the playoffs, I should say. And then what do? I mean, then you can't use them unless there's some sort of major injury to somebody and you can swap them. But usually, they tried that in 73, was it, with the Oakland A's. Charlie Finley tried that in the middle of the World Series. Didn't get away with it. But it's kind of nuts. But as you say, at least people are going to get healthy and bring more people, and they'll get to see some people play more.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, the Mets taking on the Nationals as we're doing the podcast started off with the weekend series with them. That's going to be a real big series for them.
Yeah, they've got to take 2 out of 3 of that at least to stay in this pennant hunt, this playoff hunt, and help that they're going to need help, and they have to hope that the Cardinals can somehow backtrack a little bit. They do have a lot of games left with the Cubs and the Pirates and the Giants, I think. So they could, potentially be in some trouble. But you can't worry about that now if you're the Mets. You just got to go out there and win. And it's the same thing in the American League with Boston and Baltimore. They have to just go out and win. Just go play the games and take care of their own business and not worry about who's beating who.
Yeah, and out in L.A., Puig is returned to the Dodgers with the expansion of the rosters there, so he's back to familiar ground, and he's going to be in tonight's lineup as we're doing the show, so I kind of expect him to do well. I think he's going to say to the Dodgers that he's a much better player than they think he is.
Well, I wonder if that game is going to be on MLB Network at all. Usually they try to get those games like that on there, and that would be pretty cool to see that game. I still think the Mets should have went after him instead of Mr. Bruce out in right field there, but I don't want to get into that. I ranted enough on Mets musings about that deal, so let's just move on.
When he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's not.
And he's been colder than an igloo in Alaska.
12 icebergs.
Since the iceberg that hit the Titanic was warmer than what he has been. So, but let's move on from there.
We'll roll on right along with the show, and I know last week I was mentioning they had a special for MLB.TV. They're having another special this week. The $14.99 special is over. That ran through the end of the season, of course, as we were talking about last week on the program. And you can see all the other games in review on the DVR type of functionality that they offer there. But this week they have for college students, and just in time for people going back to college and all, free for the rest of the year for college students, MLB.TV Premium. So if you're in school, you're a college student, you listen to the program here, check it out. Go over to MLB.TV. If you can somehow prove that you're a college student, you're going to get the rest of the season for free right from MLB.TV. So a little freebie there to start off with the show.
Yeah, that was my question, Rich. What is the criteria to get it for free for proving that you're a college student?
I believe they have some sort of ID type of registration that you can put into that, and they can check with the college, make sure you're actually a student, things like that. There's been other programs that you can sign up for, like online Adobe Premiere and things like that, that you can register and get discounts for as a college or a high school student. So yeah, there is a way that they can validate that with the educational institution. So it's good for them. It's good for, students that might not have a lot of money. They're working a part-time job or something, don't have a lot of expendable income, but they're going to give it away for free for the college students this month.
They should be studying.
Yeah, but they got to listen to baseball too.
Listen to this show and then study the rest of the week. That's what I say.
Well, we don't want to keep our special guest waiting. We do have a special guest this week as well, a young guy, Mr. Tyler Boronski. How you doing, Tyler?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for agreeing to be on. And you're quite the young entrepreneur here. You've been around the Atlantic League covering some of those games in the last couple of years. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in covering baseball, and your interviews?
All right. Wow. Well, I'll start off explaining what the Atlantic League is, because that's a question I get a lot, that people don't really even know what the Atlantic League is. And it's independent minor league baseball where players come from the affiliate ranks to get a second chance to get back to the major leagues for whatever reason. They got released or injured or whatever reason, they have to come to independent baseball. So that's where the Atlantic League, they give players a second chance to hopefully get back to the major leagues. So I actually live right next to one of the ballparks. So that's kind of where I started going there a lot, building relationships with the team, the personnel, the players. And then one of these days I just kind of got interested in doing sports reporting, sports media. So I gave it a shot. I had a blast. I mean, the first interview I ever did, I didn't even know what I was doing at all. Like the camera, lighting, horrible. It's like all dark, no microphone. Like the questions were, iffy, but it was just a blast. So that was like 3-4 years ago. My first interview with Luis Lopez, who played in the major leagues with the Blue Jays. But ever since then, I've just been going at it, posting on my YouTube channel, and it's really taken off, and I've enjoyed doing it so far.
Now, you worked last year with the Bridgeport Bluefish, I believe it was, and now this year you're kind of freelancing, but you still get access. That's pretty cool that they still giving you access and letting you in. And I noticed some interesting equipment. I'm like the equipment guy. Rich likes the equipment too, but I've done a little bit of this in the New York Penn League. Unfortunately, they don't seem to let us on the field as much. We're leaning over railings with our iPhone.
Oh yeah.
But I noticed you have a pretty unique little setup there, and I was quite interested in that. The little tripod with the iPad or the iPad Mini. I'm not sure which you were using there, and the
Yeah.
microphone that plugs in. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah. I just have the tripod going with the iPad and the microphone. That's really it. I don't got the fancy camera equipment yet. Maybe one day get that stuff. But for now, I just use what I got, and it's not that bad, the iPad quality. So it's good.
Well, it's pretty interesting because, as you say, now the quality is very good, and you do see even in the major now, guys using their phones
Yeah,
for a voice recorder, and I really think it's the way to go. It's easy on the equipment. You don't need an extra person,
yeah.
and you don't need to carry all of that stuff. So I think it's pretty fascinating. And so now, is this something, the sports reporting, is this something you're going to pursue further? Are you going to study this in school and go to the next level, or you going to try to intern with other teams, or what's your plan going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a senior in high school right now, so I have another year till I head to college, which I'll major in sports media of some sort, wherever that may be. Next summer, I plan on either joining a new team, probably in the Atlantic League, or maybe get an internship with a TV show. I have a good connection with Dan Patrick and his TV show, so I'm hoping to get internship there, possibly. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I want to pursue, and baseball is my main sport. So, I mean, my goal is to get to the big leagues one day as a reporter, and I hope to get there.
That's excellent. And your YouTube channel, your main channel is TB Autos 512. So if you're looking for Tyler on YouTube, you can go to TB Autos, AUTOS 512. So
Correct.
that's a really nice collection of videos. You have over 575 followers on your YouTube channel. And one thing that impressed me about you so much as being a young person like that, you seem to prepare yourself well for interviews. You're always right there with all your facts. You don't really carry notes with you. So you do an excellent job with your pregame notes, so to speak.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I just it's important for me to ask good questions, questions I kind of want to ask and that I find interesting. You get like that one-on-one connection with the players. Like that doesn't happen all the time, so I try to make the most of that opportunity and it's you try to not sound scripted when you're doing the interview. It's kind of hard sometimes, but I just try my best to keep it as natural as possible.
Now, who was the best interview that you got so far? Who was the one that you enjoyed doing the most?
Okay, so a lot of times when fans message me, they always like the biggest name players I've ever interviewed, but and I actually personally I like doing the big name guys, but I like doing some of the guys no one's ever heard of before because I'm usually like one of their first interviews. Their parents, friends, cousins, everyone shares the interview online. So like it doesn't matter, you play at the biggest level in the big leagues or just like independent ball, like each player has their own story in professional baseball, how they got there, what adversity, challenges they went through. So I enjoy talking to all of them. I guess if I had to choose one, wow.
I don't want
I
to put you
interviewed
on the spot.
I interviewed JC Romero last year. He was 2008 World Series champion with the Phillies, and he gave me like an awesome interview. Like we went through his whole career, and he's really a outgoing, personable guy. A lot to say. It was like I was supposed to be like a 4-minute interview. It turned into like a 10-minute interview. So,
That happens.
but yeah, it does happen. So, but it was really fun to do. JC's a great guy, and that's one that I just really enjoyed doing. Even if he's not the biggest name guy, it was still pretty fun.
Very cool. So going forward to next season, you said you had some plans. You might want to go with a new team with the Atlantic League or maybe jump over and get somewhere else. Where does one start to get into minor league baseball? I know because Gary's been interviewing in the New York Penn League for a while and jumping on board with that. Where would one start in the process of becoming like a sports reporter like you've done?
Email away. Email to any team. Try to get as many connections as for media passes, whatever you gotta do. Just the worst people can say is no. Rejections happen all the time. I've been rejected a lot from teams or whatever that I want to go interview. I can't go, whatever. But just try to make your own connections, self promote yourself, I guess, in a way, and
Yeah.
maybe you'll get there. So.
Very good words of advice, and who knows, maybe we'll be able to get some credentials for you from the Baseball Talk radio show. You never know down the line what
Sure.
something could turn into. You never know.
That's for sure.
Definitely.
And it is funny that you say you have to make those connections, and you've probably made a lot of connections now, interviewing all these players and talking to a lot of these media guys on the different clubs. But there's still are walls put up there. I know I can get it from a lot of other teams, but my own team, the Cyclones, that I do my independent show on, they won't even give it to me. So, but that's their way of thinking, and I just go when they're on the road and do what I have to do. But it's very funny how different cities react to all of this.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I've had my share of you don't get the credentials. I actually tried the Mets at Citi Field because I knew one of the players. I wanted to interview him. Couldn't get it. I tried for like so many days to get it. It just didn't work out. But that's what happens sometimes. So hopefully down the line, maybe get your name out there a little more in the sports world, and it can happen.
Now, how far are you from Norwich, Connecticut?
I'm far, like
No,
an
okay.
hour and a half. I've never been there before, Norwich.
That's the Connecticut Tigers in the Penn League are there, and they're always hiring, it seems. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm looking at the teams in the Hartford area, either the Yard Goats if they open up their stadium next year, or which is affiliated, but or New Britain Bees. They're also in the Atlantic League.
What is the current status? We did a story on the Hartford Yard Goats a couple of weeks ago with that mess with the stadium. They stopped the building of it because of the construction company, and now the state is getting involved, and the insurance company, and the owner wants to move, and it's just a mess.
Yeah, it's a mess. I've driven by that stadium a lot because the airport's on the way, so you go past the stadium. The stadium itself kind of looks completed, so I don't know what the other issues are, but I'm hoping next year they open it because I liked having a double-A baseball nearby to see the prospects, but I didn't get that chance this year. But yeah, I'm hoping next year they open up that stadium.
Now, on your YouTube channel, and Rich, I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off, you also do not articles, but videos about autograph getting, I guess is the best way to put it. Do you use the fact that you have access? Do you use that to help get you with the autograph, or do you do it while you're getting an interview?
Well, that's a good question. Kinda, not really. Like usually, if I do have something for the player, I want to like I interviewed, and then like maybe afterwards, if I have like a card of him, I'll just ask him to sign it. But I mean, earlier, I guess it helped, but like now that I'm older, it might seem like I still get a lot of autographs. I feel like I don't get that try really that hard now to get autographs, but yeah, I guess so. That's kind of why like I started this YouTube channel anyways. It was like an autograph channel to begin with, and then it turned into sports media and the interviews. That's why like the TV autos, the auto stands for autographs. But yeah, I guess it does help a little bit, but it's kind of weird at the same time because I know all the players now, so I feel weird asking for autographs. But it's not that bad. If I want the autograph, I don't mind asking.
And how big is your collection?
It's pretty big, definitely from over the years. There's thousands of autographs in there, cards, photos, baseballs, everything you can name. Like I got it probably. So
That's very cool. We have to introduce you to. Did you ever hear the world famous ball hawk Zach Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I still haven't,
he'd be a great interview for you.
for sure. I still haven't met Zach yet, but I'm hoping to. I've interacted with him on YouTube a couple times, but I'm hoping one day I'll see him at a game and we'll, maybe set up an interview.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, thanks very much for joining us. I think we're going to be hearing a lot more from you in the future. Don't think it's going to be the last time we see you. Probably be seeing you on ESPN sometime in a couple years.
I hope so. Thanks so much, guys, for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we'd love to have you stop by on a future show. Maybe talk about the Atlantic League next season when they start up again. Let us know what's going on over there. You could maybe be our roving reporter for us.
There you go.
I'd love to talk to you guys again.
Thanks a lot, Tyler.
Thanks, Tyler.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, you too.
Well, carrying on with the show, Gary, that was a nice interview with Tyler, and I'm just amazed how easily he carries on his interviews. He seems like he's made for this business.
Well, it's very interesting. He's very smooth. He's got it down. He knows what he's doing, and it's great to see. We talk about how the baseball says the youth isn't there. Well, here's a perfect example of somebody that's loving the game and going to the game and getting involved on a different level with the game, and it's great to see. And he's got a big, bright future, I think, ahead of him, Rich.
Yep, he seems to have a great time doing something he really likes, and isn't that the dream of a nice job in the end, really?
Rich, we're still trying to do that, and
and we're a little bit older.
I'm closing in on retirement. Oh,
yeah.
Looking at what he does as a retirement job, maybe, but yeah, he does a great job with that, and his vlog. He's got a vlog on YouTube on the same channel, as well as what they call. And I have to admit that I had to actually look this up because, dummy me, I couldn't figure out. You see all these sites that says IP autographs, and I couldn't figure out what the IP stood for, and of course it stands for in person. So, dummy me, I had to actually Google IP and autographing world to figure out what it was. But he's got a ton of stuff, and those guys are amazing on there. And I used to do a little bit of it. Sometimes I feel a little silly doing it. I'll do through the mail some stuff. I don't know if you're into that at all with the cards, but I put a lot of that on hold when we were working on the house after the hurricane. So I've got to dig out some of that stuff and start up again because I watch a couple of videos. I get the bug again.
Yeah, I've done some mail autographs, some in person, but I just over the years I've lost my zeal for it. Like this afternoon where I work, my regular job, they had a pro football player come in, and he was a little late, so there was about 100 some odd people lined up for an autograph from him. So I just didn't even want one, to be honest with you. But that was just maybe that particular player. But some of my favorite players, yeah, I would definitely go for an autograph. But some of your average players, I just wouldn't be interested.
Are we giving a name or?
Well, he's on the Eagles, but I won't name him. But yeah, he was at an event tonight, kicking off the Labor Day weekend around the Jersey Shore. So it was nice to see, the enthusiasm. A lot of people showed up for it, and definitely brought their, footballs and things like that for him to sign. But maybe I'm a baseball guy too. That's another thing.
Yeah, that could be.
Well, looking around the league here as we're moving into the Labor Day weekend, hard to believe we're saying that. It just seems like it was July, maybe a couple of weeks ago, and all of a sudden we're talking almost playoff baseball here in a month. Checking out some of the standings over in the AL East, the Blue Jays climbed atop the ladder up there, a 2-game lead over the Boston Red Sox. Baltimore Orioles kind of falling down The sword there, 4 games back, all of a sudden, are those Orioles. They held the lead most of the summer. Now they're trying to fade away here as we get into September. Gary, over in the AL Central, it's the Indians still commanding a large lead there, 4.5 games over the Detroit Tigers, who have moved nicely into second place, and they came out of nowhere, seems like.
They certainly did, Rich. And Kansas City put together a run, and they're nosing their way back into the picture. So they're not totally out of it yet either. But we'll have to see if Cleveland can hold on to that 4.5 game lead they've got over Detroit. And they got 7.5 over Kansas City, but you just never know.
No, you don't. It just could be a strange month. And a few teams are within, striking distance. Should they run off a nice run in September to make a move on some of these teams. Out west, it's Texas Rangers, 80-54. They're sort of on cruise control out there. I think we could say that they're going to win that Western division out there. Houston Astros, 8.5 games. They've made up some ground on them, but I don't think it's enough ground to take that division.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. They're 8.5 back, as you say, and it's difficult. Texas has been playing well. They've got a good, solid team. They've been getting good pitching, and they're just the juggernaut this year there.
Over in the National League, as we mentioned at the start of the show, it's the Nationals and the Mets going at it this weekend. They're also 1-2 in the NL East. The Nationals have a 9.5 game lead as we start off the month here. Nats playing good baseball. They came into Philadelphia, swept them like they weren't even there. But your Mets have also turned up a notch, 7-3 in their last 10.
Yeah, I've been playing some better baseball, Rich. Making contact, scoring some runs, getting some good pitching. The problem going down the stretch now, as I see it, is that with the injuries continue to mount. Not an excuse, it's a fact, and especially to the pitching staff. And they're going to rely on kids that are really unproven. Rafael Montero pitched the other day, pitched a good game. Had 6 walks, which doesn't sound good, but he did keep them in the game and really pitched pretty decently. The next night, it was Seth Lugo, another young guy they brought up. He's been very impressive so far, keeping them in games. Not blowing people away. These guys are more finesse guys than the power guys that we used to from the Mets, but nonetheless, they're getting the job done. And another guy, Robert Gesellman, he came up, pitched in a couple of games, looked good in the one game. The other game, he pitched fairly well. I think they left him in an inning too early, and he got a little battered around, but all in all, pitched pretty well in that game. But these are the guys they're going to have to rely on instead of, we thought they would be relying on Matz and then Harvey and DeGrom and Syndergaard going down the stretch. And now it's going to be Lugo, Gesellman, Montero, Colon, and Syndergaard. And if I may, shout out to the old man, Bartolo Colon at 42, 43. Is still pitching fantastic baseball. I think he's got the most wins, or he's tied for the most wins on the team. And he's got the most innings pitched, or very close second as we speak. So he's still getting the job done at 43, and thank God that they have him.
Yeah, he's like the Energizer Bunny. You just wind him up and let him go.
Keeps going and going and going.
Well, as you said, the Mets 9.5 games out, but where they're at is 2 games out in the wild card. The Marlins are there as well. They're 3 games back. That's going to be a real race for the wild cards in this season. We've got 4 or 5 legitimate contenders right now as we're starting out the month of September. And, the top two are going to go at it for a one-game playoff to make up that final spot, and could be anybody at this point.
Yeah, and really, if you think about it, both spots really could be open. San Francisco is falling back a little bit. They're struggling right now. They're 2.5 games out of first now in the division, and they are a game up in the wild card. But that could change. They've been struggling. They've 4-6 over their last 10. So within a week or so, they could be fighting for the second wild card, and somebody else could be in the first wild card spot. So it's going to be a mad rush coming down the stretch for that position, both positions, and it's going to be an interesting race to see. And Rich, that's why they created the wild card, so these teams are still alive, and we have some meaningful baseball in September to go to and to watch on television.
Yep, and it's going to keep a few more fans glued to the television and coming to the stadium. Like you said, maybe even buying a playoff ticket or two, catching that baseball fever. Well, they have a lot of baseball fever out in Chicago, 87-47 record out there, the best record in baseball right now. They've been absolutely on fire the past week, 10 days here, 8-2 in their last 10. And all they seem to do is come through in the clutch lately.
That's for sure, Rich. And you don't know if they're going to be able to keep this up through the playoffs. It'll be interesting to see what Madden decides to do once they clinch. Once they clinch the division, will he rest guys? Will he play them? It's kind of an iffy situation, because what happens if you rest them and they get ice cold, and then you go into the playoffs and they're cold? Or do you play them if they're still a hot team and they get injured? So it's a funny balancing act there that he's going to find himself in, and they have such a big lead that I believe the magic number is 14 to the division. So they've already eliminated Milwaukee and Cincinnati in that division. They're already out. So it's really Pittsburgh and St. Louis that are alive. So they could technically clinch within the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, and still have a couple of weeks left. And then he'll have some decisions to make.
Yeah. And as you said, it's going to be some tough decisions. I wouldn't rest them too much myself. Seeing what I've seen playoff baseball, as you said, some of these guys are conditioned to keep playing. They get on the bench a couple days and they change.
Yeah, that's a good point. And, unless they've got American League games coming up where they can DH some of these guys, you still want to give them a rest. You don't want them to run out of gas, but you don't want to totally, take the hot streaks out of them, if you will. So it's quite a balancing. And then what do you do with the pitching too? I mean, do you let some young pitchers go? Do you keep the normal rotation? Again, I think you try to work skip each one once maybe, and try to get an extra day's rest here and there, just to try to keep everybody fresh, but to keep them in a routine, as you say.
Absolutely. The St. Louis Cardinals, 16 games back there in the AL Central. They're still on the hunt for the wild card as well, 70-62. The Pittsburgh Pirates, not that bad off, 67-64, 18.5 games back. No chance to catch the Cubs, but they too are in the wild card hunt. So that's your 5 teams. You got the Giants, Cardinals, Mets, Pirates, and Marlins, all contending for these wild card spots at this point early on in September. So it's going to be an interesting race to the finish there. And, of course, as we talked about, out west, the Dodgers have a 2.5 game lead over the Giants, seesawing back and forth. One of the teams gets hot one week, and then the other one seems to gain some ground. Lately, it's been the Dodgers. So we'll have to see what happens out there in the West. And just another shaping up of a great baseball season here in 2016.
Certainly going to be one to remember down the stretch, Rich. And if I may, I'd like to congratulate the Hudson Valley Renegades on winning the McNamara division in the New York Penn League. They're short season 8-ball, and their season is coming to an end on Monday. And then the playoffs begin. And the Hudson Valley Renegades, with a record of 46-24 as we speak, clinch the McNamara division. And also congratulations to the State College Spikes, who also clinched the Pinckney division. They'll be in the playoffs, and they have the league's best record right now as we speak at 47-25. That could all shake out in the next couple of days. And looks like the Lowell Spinners have also at least tied. They're going to win their division. They've got a 6-game lead with 6 games left. So they've tied at least for the division lead in the Stedler. So let's just call it for the Lowell Spinners, and congratulations to them. And that is Lowell is a Boston Red Sox affiliate. State College is a Cardinals affiliate, and Hudson Valley is a Tampa Bay affiliate. So, and it looks like the wild card is probably going to be the Staten Island Yankees. They have a 2-game lead in the wild card race for the New York Penn League. So, just wanted to sneak that in there, Rich.
Very good, very good, and not a bad thing. That's great baseball news. Of course, the minor leagues are having their playoffs coming up, I believe, starting next week. I know the Reading Phils are in the hunt there with that certain AAA. So looking forward to that. Might even catch a game myself. I'm on vacation next week myself, so I might even go out and catch one of those games. But yeah, some great baseball looking ahead there in the next month with the MLB. And before we close out the show, Gary, I know this one thing I did want to ask Tyler, but I forgot to ask him before we let him go. I was wondering what he thought about podcasting, because as of yet, he never started his own podcast. So that might be another avenue for him. And of course, if he listens to the show, he'll hear this. But I wondered what his opinion was on podcasting.
That's a great question, Rich. That would be an avenue for him, especially with his contacts and everything, to use those interviews. So I guess perhaps he's just satisfied with keeping it on the YouTube channel for now and doesn't have to worry about all the technical glitching stuff.
That's our department. We can worry about that. Well, anyway, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to this edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show, brought to you by the baseballtalkradio.com site, where you can hear over 30 shows. I'm going to be adding another one this coming week. He's a hitting instructor based out of Philadelphia, a former pro player. You'll have to check out the channel after this weekend. I believe I'll have it up by Labor Day. Brand new show coming to the lineup of shows. He's real happy about joining everybody in the group there. A professional hitting instructor. So it'd be interesting to hear some of his podcasts. That
certainly would be, and I'd like to have him on the show here.
Yeah, well, we'll invite him on one week and get him on the show. He's been a hitting instructor for some big names out there. So when we have him on the show, it'll be interesting to ask him, all about his hitting and what he recommends for certain batters in certain situations. It's probably a science within itself.
And maybe we can ask him what happened to the bunt.
Yeah, the old drop it and roll.
Yeah. Why don't they teach that anymore?
Well, we hope you tune in to a future edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show, everyone. Happy holiday, Labor Day, if you have the day off, or if you're working. We want to wish you a great holiday weekend, and we'll talk to you again on the next edition. Gary, you have a great week.
You too, Rich, and happy Labor Day to everybody.